We're now going to discuss the solution to exercise 3-12 on page 117. This problem requires us to compute a predetermined overhead rate and the total cost of a particular job. In this problem, they make us work a little bit in part 1 to come up with what the total manufacturing overhead is. In previous problems, we've been given what the estimated manufacturing overhead would be. In this problem, they have us first calculate what the estimated total overhead for this particular company is. In the problem, they tell us that the fixed manufacturing overhead cost is $750,000, and they also tell us that the variable manufacturing overhead is $4 per machine hour, and that there are 150,000 machine hours. Therefore, our variable overhead is $600,000. Our estimated total manufacturing overhead is made up of two parts. It's the fixed manufacturing overhead plus the variable manufacturing overhead. So in this problem, we had to take one step and calculate the total variable overhead, add it to the fixed overhead to give us the estimated total manufacturing overhead cost. In this situation, it's $1,350,000 of estimated total manufacturing overhead divided by the 150,000 machine hours gives us a predetermined overhead rate of $9 per machine hour. Part 2 of this problem asks us to calculate the total cost of job 500. Not a very difficult piece, remembering that there are 3 costs that need to be calculated to come up with the total cost of any job, 2 of which are given to us, that being direct materials, $350 for job 500, direct labor, $230 for job number 500. The manufacturing overhead applied is simply $9 per machine hour times 30 machine hours, $270. So in this problem, job number 500, we are told that there are 30 machine hours. Those 30 machine hours multiplied by $9 per machine hour gives us $270. So the $350 of materials, $230 of labor, plus $270 of overhead gives us a total cost for job 500 of $850. Part 3 wants to know whether we have underapplied or overapplied our overhead for the year at the Coty Corporation. They tell us that they have 147,000 machine hours worked on all jobs, and that actual manufacturing overhead was $1,325,000. What we need to do is determine how much manufacturing overhead was in fact applied. Well, if they only had 147,000 actual machine hours, and each time they had a machine hour they assigned $9, they would have applied $1,323,000 of overhead. When you compare that manufacturing overhead applied of $1,323,000 to the actual manufacturing overhead of $1,325,000, we find out that their manufacturing overhead is underapplied. We only applied $1,323,000 when our actual was $1,325,000. So we've underapplied overhead by $2,000. We would therefore need a journal entry at the end of the year to close out this underapplied overhead by increasing cost of goods sold, which would in result decrease profits. That does it for our discussion of the solution to exercise 3-12.